Hi everyone, I'm Omar from Tarancon Board Games, and today I'm joined by Mitzy, and we're going to discuss character number 1, the lion from the Safari Turbo board game. So what can you tell me about character number 1?
Well, our profile card gives a lot of information, and one of the things you should know is his real name is Richard, and he's part of the Animal group, which is one of the 20 groups found in this magical island. Now, he has powers and abilities such as Intimidation, Super Roar, Ferocity, and Animalistic. And just a little background on him, the lion spirit which he carries within suddenly appears, his eyes turn golden, and his strength is increased. He gives out a powerful roar which travels ahead of him in a display of ferocity. Dangerous animals bow in his presence, and opponent vehicles are knocked out. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Alright, so his Golden Tree group benefit is when anyone initially rolls a G, you receive a Go Again card. So the Golden Tree dice, so let's say someone's rolling and they roll something like that. So it doesn't matter if you are not rolling the dice. Anyone that rolls the dice, a G comes out, you get a Go Again.
A Go Again.
Which is really cool because you could accumulate 3 or 4 of those during the game. And you're just taking extra turns as you go along.
And that's one of my favorite parts about the Golden Tree is that it's not just giving the gift to the person that happens to be there, but everybody can benefit from this.
Yeah, everybody likes when someone lands on the Golden Tree.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Okay, on the back of the card, we have
Intimidation. So what happens here is opponents cannot land on your space unless you allow it. Then bumping will apply. Instead, they must pass their turn to the next player. This ability does not apply in save zones. So that's a pretty cool thing, because if somebody wants to land on your space and it happens to have something really good in it, you can say, no, sorry, I have this intimidation factor and you're not allowed to land here.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you're playing because somebody lands on your space and they're like, oh, I'm going to collect a compass or whatever, and you're like, no, I got intimidation, you can't land there, and they're like, I forgot about that.
But then the opposite could be true.
Yeah, you might want them to land on there.
Especially if it's something bad.
Because you might be on a space that's non-beneficial, and then you're like, sure, I'm going to let you land on there and suffer the damage or whatever it is, plus bumping.
Okay, so just to show.
Bumping, when you land on somebody else, you suffer bumping, which means that your health meter loses 1 and your damage meter loses 1. So you might want them to land on you so they can suffer bumping, or you might not want to. Depends on you. They have to pass their turn. So that's Intimidation.
And sometimes it's funny about bumping, but you don't think it's a big deal 1-on-1. But if you bump a lot, you start getting into some trouble.
You start
here.
thinking it's just 1 here, 1 there. It accumulates, and then you have to stop at a pit stop to start getting some of that.
Alright, so the next awesome ability is Super Roar, which does have an evade. So if you're going to use this, you're going to first announce it. Okay, you tell the group, I'm going to use my Super Roar. And then you roll the high-speed die, and you multiply that number by 3. Then you count the spaces in front of you, and you place 1 Super Roar token on the final space. All animals within these spaces, including the final space, will bow and not attack you. Opponent vehicles caught in the wave of your Super Roar immediately get to evade. If unsuccessful, they get knocked out. And once you reach or pass your token, you discard it. So you have to be strategic on when to use this.
It's pretty cool what's happening here with the flavor of the game and the theme and so on. So he's got the lion spirit inside, and he's going to shoot off his Super Roar. It's not just a roar, it's a super roar because it's knocking over vehicles and all that. So, so what you do on the board is, let's suppose that you are right here, okay? And you are about to go around Gator Lake. So you have 1 gator here, you have another one here, and you don't want to land on the gators. If not, you're going to lose 3 health. So you might decide to do your super roar here at this time. So you announce it, like you said. Now this is the thing with the Super Roar. You don't get them back, and you don't get a re-roll. Okay. So you're going to multiply whatever you roll with times 3. So at least you're going to get 3 spaces out of it. So you got to kind of be close to what you want to do. So if I'm there, and I tell everyone I'm going to do a Super Roar, then I roll the high-speed die. 1 time, I got a 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I put my Super Roar token there. So all animals from my vehicle to the Super Roar token, including that space, don't hurt me. So that gator's not going to hurt me. Now, if there was any opponents in those spaces, then they would get to a chance to evade. Evade meaning they're going to roll one time the high-speed die and try to get a 6. If they don't do that, then they are knocked out.
Awesome.
Okay.
And how many of those tokens
You get 3 of them.
You get 3 of them in the game, so that's pretty good. And I mean, again, you have to be strategic where in the game to use them. And sometimes you might use them all at once. It depends on you. That's the great thing about the choices that you get to make here.
Yeah.
All right, the next one is Ferocity. On your turn, when battling, you spend 1 Ferocity token, and you get to add 1 roll of the low speed die to your battle number. And you only get to do this once per battle, but it is super helpful. And you do receive 4 of these tokens.
Yeah. So Richard, the lion, is all about strength. So what he does is he's all about strength and battling. So let's suppose there's different kinds of battle. For example, here on the board, battle, these purple circles indicate where you're going to battle. So right here at the gorilla, it's a battle number of 3. Okay. Over here at the rhino, it's a battle number of 5. So let's say you're here at the gorilla. So you have to get a number higher than 3. Otherwise, this is going to happen to you. He's going to throw you back 6 spaces. So let's suppose you land on the gorilla. You immediately battle him. It's a battle number of 3. First thing you do is roll the high speed die. You have to get higher, not equal to 3. So let's suppose you roll a 1. You roll and you got a 1. You got to get a 4. So you're off by 3. So now you say, well, I'm also going to use a Ferocity token. And the Ferocity token is going to allow me to roll the low speed die. So let's say you roll that and you roll a 2. So now my battle number is 3. Remember, I'm trying to get 4. But you also have lion cards. So now you say, well, I need to get to a 4. I'm going to use 1 lion card, and now I'm at 4. I defeated the gorilla. Okay. One thing I notice about the game is that people like accumulating things. So in the game you accumulate coins, cards, you buy specialty items and so on, and people like holding on to them. They don't like using them. So in this example that I just gave, you might say, gee, what's the damage on the gorilla? He moves me back 6 spaces. What's the big deal? I gave up a Ferocity token. I gave up a lion card. But that's kind of like what you got to do, because you have 4 of these. You have a lot of them. By the end of the game, you usually don't use them all. And that's what the lion cards are for. Believe it or not, those 6 spaces puts you back here. You might land on more things that hurt you. You might land on the gorilla again. So people tend to do that. They tend to hold on to their stuff and not use it. And I see a lot of people do that. And it's like, he's happy because he's got a lot of stuff, but he's way in the back.
Right.
You know?
Well,
so
especially things that you feel like you don't get back. I think sometimes people want to hold on to them to the very
like, I only
last
got
minute.
4 of them, so I have to, use them.
And this lion card, I just want to clarify, everybody's able to use these lion cards for battle.
Yeah, it's not just Richard. Everyone's able to use the lion cards.
This is just somebody who can combine several things together.
Yes. In addition to the lion cards, Richard also has Ferocity, which it helps him in battle. But everyone collects lion cards at the lion. So everyone will have lion cards pretty much.
Wow. And now the final ability is Animalistic. You collect 1 additional mystic card from the mystical animal once per race, and when winning the battle on any animal battle space. So tell us a little bit about that mystic card.
That's what that's what I was just saying, that everyone collects. The mystical animal of this game is the lion. And you can tell by the circle that's around him, which is also on the lion card itself in the corner. So that is the mystical symbol. So at the mystical animal, everyone gets to stop. You don't need an exact number. So everyone stops at the mystical animal, and everyone gets to roll the low speed die. This number will tell you how many lion cards the mystical animal is going to give you. So you roll. There is a blank. There is a blank, a 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but you do get a reroll. So
yeah, because you don't want to leave
you don't want
with
a blank.
anything.
So then you roll again, and you got a 3. So the highest number you can get is 4. So what's funny about that is we get there sometimes and we roll a 1.
Yeah, that's
and we're like, we got to reroll. We don't want 1. And then you roll and you get a blank.
You get the blank.
And we're like, that's what you should have.
Hey, don't be greedy.
So, so then that's the mystical animal, and everyone gets to do that. Now, Richard, for being in the animal group, has this thing called Animalistic, like you just said. and he gets an additional card every time, like when he gets there, no matter what, even if you roll. So if you end up with a blank, you still get one. So he gets an additional card. He also gets a card every time he wins a battle with an animal. So here, like as the example before with the gorilla, he won that battle, so he would have just gotten a lion card.
Gotcha. All right. So again, the 4 powers and abilities were Intimidation, Super Roar, Ferocity, and Animalistic. And anything else we want to say about Richard?
So what would you got any strategy tips? What do you do when you play Richard?
You know, since his big thing is the animals, I tend to hold on to my coins all the way, to my tokens all the way into the part where we get to the alligators and the zebras and all this other section here. But that's me. I tend to hoard my tokens a little bit.
Because you could also knock over opponents.
Correct.
So it'll be ideal if all the unfriendly animals are just ahead of you and all the opponents. Because you get to knock the opponents out and you get to go over the friendly animals, but that never happens.
Right.
As the game starts, everybody's grouped together, but then everybody starts going apart and you're trying, I want to knock him over, but he's the only one there, so now I have to use a super roar token. I'm going to spend a super roar token to knock over one player. How badly do I want to do this?
Right.
So at the beginning of the game, I'm very tempted to knock everybody over, especially, everyone's in front of me. Then I can just knock everyone out.
I think this is the beauty of Safari Turbo. It's the fact that you have all the choices.
Oh, you have a lot of.
It's all in your hands.
A lot of strategy.
When to do this, when to unleash your abilities.
Yeah.
Doing it from the beginning is definitely a strategy, or like me, that I kind of hoarded to one section of the game. But at the end, you also don't want to end up with nothing. So when you get to this volcano area, you want to have some things left in your arsenal.
You don't want to give all your tokens up. So, and what she's talking about, the volcanoes, is the hyenas are all over the volcanoes. And the hyenas are all about battle. And they have a battle number of 4, which means you have to get 5 or higher on a d6, on a 6-sided dice. So you have a 1 in 3 shot right there, so that's not good. So you want to hold on to your line cards and you want to hold on to your ferocity tokens. So yeah, the volcano and all that. Overall opinions?
I think it's a great character.
I mean, I love all the characters, right?
I mean, we're going to be a little biased, but I'm going to be honest. It's one of my favorite to play, definitely.
Yeah, there's some characters I like more than others. It depends. It depends what mood I'm in. Usually, I like playing others, but actually right now, I love playing Richard. I really do.
Yeah.
Because of the super roar. I feel like what I do is so you have 3 super roar tokens, so I wait for, let's say, the Gator Lake. I could try to knock that out. Over here, I know this is a difficult area with the spider web, the spider, the anaconda. I try to use the super roar there to knock out those animals, and I use maybe my 3rd one here on the volcano, like we said.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I try to and if I can catch any opponents, it depends. Sometimes it's very tempting. It's like I'm playing against 3 other players and they're all right in front of me.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to multiply that super roar times 3, so I'm going to catch them. So, and sometimes when you're knocked out, you're like there for a few turns, 2-3 turns, so it's beneficial.
Now, also the fact that I get go against at the Tree of Life, at the Golden Tree, whenever anybody gets a green G on the die, that also can help me speed up a bit. So the go against are also very helpful.
Yeah. So thank you for watching this character number 1 of the Safari Turbo board game.
If you want to know more about our game, please follow us at our website, follow us on Twitter, and on Instagram.
Bye.
Bye.
Get your copy of the Safari Turbo board game at TyranconBoardGames.com.